Why did it
This is a
switch?
Huddle Sports Network broadcast. You can find us on Roku TV, Amazon Fire TV, Facebook, and of course YouTube. Get all your NFL news here first.
To get the right guy.
He's still alive.
Oh, well,
Hey, good morning, everyone. Um, Welcome to another edition of Hallas Hall Report. With us this morning, we got Bear Down Mike. We haven't seen him. Wow, we heard him. We just haven't seen him in a little bit. Good morning, Bear Down Mike.
Good morning. I just been so busy with this new job. I'm
What?
finally home.
Work? People do
Yeah.
it? Whoa.
I'm finally home.
And then we've got Woody Bear Down, the man with no opinion about anything unless it's hockey or the Eagles.
Yeah, fuck it.
And of course, in the back, we got producer Mike doing his thing, probably sending the show out to a million different locations right now. And we'll hear from him in a little bit as well. So, guys, we got to start the day off with the big news of the weekend so far. The number one seed, the last hope of the NFC North, loses at home to the Washington Commanders in not so subtle a fashion. Some may dare to even call it a blowout because it was a 2-score game. What are the reactions, Mike? What's your take on what happened last night in Detroit?
Which Mike?
You.
Oh. Not shocked, actually. Commanders, they're a tough team, and like I said to you last night, are Bears fans going to say we chose the wrong quarterback? Yeah, there's going to be some, and there's going to be media saying it, but I don't think so in the end. But the game, it doesn't. You can't blame one guy on defense for your loss. Goff threw 3 picks, right? They didn't integrate anybody else. I mean, I saw Montgomery only had 26 yards rushing. I get he's coming off an injury, but they didn't. They heavily relied on Gibbs to be the man. And when he got shut down, there was really no shutting him down. But still, and in the end, they were outcoached, outplayed. There's no excuses for this loss.
Yeah, no. Hey, Sarah, real quick, check your inbox on X. I sent you the link. Woody, what do you think?
Oh, I'm pissed. But that's why they play the games. Jaden Daniels is really proven my theory that we should have went after him. Because some of them throws yesterday, Caleb didn't make all year. And I don't care who says, oh, yeah. No, there's not one throw that Caleb made this year as Jaden Daniels threw that ball down to, I think it was Brown, probably about the 6-yard line yesterday. It was perfect, dropped right in his arms. The defender was all over him. So, but I was a little shocked yesterday, but hopefully it works out today, and I'm a little bit more happier.
So, and look at the Rams could beat the She-Eagles today. We'll get to that in a little bit. I think this quarterback class from this last draft is just phenomenal. From top, the only ones we don't know about really are JJ because he was out the whole year, and we got a little glimpse of Penix. But this draft class all have played very well this year. Look at the NFC North sent 3 teams in the playoffs, and all 3 teams are one and done. So here we were, the best division in football, and all one and done. And I'm going to bring to the stage real quick a Vikings fan with good takes on football is Sarah. Good morning, Sarah. What'd you think of the game yesterday with the Lions?
I knew they were going to lose because I was like, the last time they played a running quarterback, they got their ass beat. And I said they were not going to be able to stop Jaden Daniels. And I was proven right.
Yeah, they had problems with Justin Fields last year. They had problems with Caleb this year. And Caleb's not a run quarterback. He can do it, but they didn't do it much this year in Chicago. But when they did do it, the Lions couldn't contain it.
Yeah, that's their kryptonite. And so I knew that the Commanders had a really good chance of upsetting them. I just didn't think it was going to be an ass beat down.
I mean, Goff, just some terrible interceptions. And, of course, J-Mo had to have his Keenan Allen moment and throw a pick, right?
Yeah, I'm like, this is why he plays wide receiver, not quarterback. And you're down what, 2 scores, and you're going to have him throw the fucking ball? You deserve to lose.
Yeah, it's that game. I mean, look at Lions fans are definitely besides themselves this morning. I feel zero pity for them.
I don't have any pity for them either. They talk so much shit, and look at that number 1 seed they had. It's the most fraudulent number 1 seed ever. They lost to a goddamn rookie.
Wait, Sarah, you got to make it worse. It's not just that they lost to a rookie; they lost to a team that was literally cobbled together with a bunch of one-year contracts.
Yeah,
older vets, yeah.
In their
older
house.
Vets that no one wanted. In a league that's been running to become young, here come the Commanders. They get the young quarterback, and they get a bunch of older vets that no one wanted. And look what they did yesterday to this young, dynamic, yeah.
And if you look at our division, all 3 of us have young, mobile quarterbacks, and they have Goff, a $50 million, almost Sam Darnold. So I don't know what they're gonna do.
Well, they've got an out, I think, after next year. Hey, Hendon Hooker actually saw the field for the first time yesterday, right? I mean, actual real game, not trash time. He saw. CJ was right, though, in the comments there from X. They got cute with the trick plays when they need to. I mean, look at the J-Mo double reverse jet sweep. Beautiful play, right? Yep. And J-Mo's got the speed to make it happen. That was beautiful. Like, okay, so offensively they were doing okay, but then, Goff just kind of melted.
Well, when you have 5 turnovers, you're not going to win a playoff game. You're not playing the Jags or the Texans. You're playing playoff teams. You can't get away with 5 turnovers.
So they are done. But you know what's great about them being done? We can start coaching their coaches.
Yep.
So they're probably going to lose their OC and their DC. So Bears fans can rejoice because guys like Broski, who've been going why haven't we hired someone yet? Well, because we're waiting for Ben Johnson to be done was part of the argument because you can't hire these guys if they're still coaching. If the Bears are intent of hiring Ben Johnson, we could have an in-person interview as early as tomorrow and make the hire this week if he's going to be the guy.
Well, and my thing is I think out of all our teams, they're going to be the one who's in most trouble next year because they're going to have to go out and find the right coordinators, and they're going to have to find a coordinator that's going to be able to cater to golf strengths, and that's hard to do.
See, I think CJ is not a big Ben Johnson guy, or he's just joking. Yeah, that loser, he lost. We really want him. It's gonna be interesting because they're going to have to. And Ben Johnson, what do you guys think of Ben Johnson's performance yesterday, as far as being the OC? I mean, was it good? Was it bad? Does it deter you from hiring him?
I think it'd be hurt to even hire Aaron Glenn more than Ben Johnson. Listen, they're the highest scoring team in the league. They scored 31 points yesterday, and they just lost. I know it's Goff with some of his interceptions, but they still got 31 points. I have no problem with Ben Johnson. I would have more of a problem with Aaron Glenn.
Yeah, Aaron Glenn's defense forced what? The punt they got a fourth. They got a turnover. Didn't they get a turnover on downs in the first quarter?
Yep.
First quarter. Yeah,
Right.
first drive.
And then they got the 3 and out to start the second half. And then after that, they didn't really get a stop. I mean, Washington was able to move the ball with impunity.
Well, and Washington was giving them a dose of their own medicine. They kept going for it on fourth down. They didn't care.
That is the Dan Campbell effect. He has changed the league in that regard. I mean, before Dan Campbell, going for it on fourth down was like, ooh, that never really happened. Now it's common, and that is because of Dan Campbell.
But
We gotta
don't
give
you
him some
guys
credit
think
for that.
you would be better off with Cliff, knowing that Cliff has worked with young quarterbacks?
Yeah, but you see how he ruined Arizona when he was there.
Seeing how successful he was with Jaden, and now I'm beginning to think maybe it wasn't Cliff, maybe it was Kyler, because Kyler's still looking like shit with the new coordinator, you know? And so don't you think maybe you're better off with Cliff, because you haven't really seen it whether or not Johnson can develop a young quarterback. You know that he can get Goff to elevate his play, but I mean that's based on all the talent that's around him, and you're not gonna have an O-line like the Lions and whatnot. So I don't know. I mean, I'm just like questioning, like maybe Cliff is better for you guys than
I'd rather have Joe Brady though. Seriously,
I'd rather have McCarthy.
So I mean,
the guy wins.
Here's how, and Sarah, here's how it's going to go down for Bears fans, right? With whoever we hire, and you can already see it right here in living color. You've got Mike wants this guy, Woody wants that guy. I'm a little more ambivalent towards maybe another guy or two. But whatever happens, a quarter of the fan base is going to be ecstatic. A quarter of the fan base is like, well, okay, I it's not bad. I can live with it. Another one's like, well, another quarter's me, well, I really don't like it at all, and I think this is not great, but maybe it has a shot. And then there's going to be the bottom quarter says, oh, we got the wrong guy. We suck. We're going to lose every game now.
Well, especially that first game you lose next season is going to be like, oh, see, we should have hired blah, blah. I mean, that's just every fan base, because after we lost on Monday, Vikings fans were like, fire KOC, you know, and I heard Packers fans saying, fire Matt LaFleur. I'm like, are you guys like dumb? I mean, like, there are teams that would like hire these guys in a second if we fired them. Like, I understand that we lost and it sucks, but the bigger picture is that you have seen that they can develop young quarterbacks, and you just drafted a young quarterback and you want to get rid of the guy who just won 14 games with Sam. Like, what the fuck are you smoking?
So I think if we go get Kingsbury, the expectation from Bears fans is gonna be what happened last night.
Yeah,
in Detroit. That's what Bears fans are gonna expect, because like, well, he just did it with Jaden, so why did he turn the Bears around? If we go with Ben Johnson, a little bit of the same. Well, why aren't we scoring 30 points a game? If we go with McCarthy, which is Mike's pick, I don't think the expectation is on either of that, but the expectation will still be the win, because, well, McCarthy wins.
I don't think he's a bad pick, because I mean he did help and develop Aaron Rodgers into the player that he is.
Well, it's just not Aaron Rodgers. Dak.
Right. So
he
has
a
track record of developing quarterbacks too, and so I don't think he's a bad choice at all.
Helped out Dak. What, get injured?
No, help develop Dak.
Develop Dak to how? I mean, does he really deserve that big contract?
As a passer, helped him. As a passer, developed him.
Producer Mike, do you still have that overlay from Wednesday that showed the difference with McCarthy and the guy that Bears fans drool all over, a certain coach from Pittsburgh? I mean, it's funny because you bring up, I get the Bears talk to try to trade for him, and of course that's going nowhere quick. But McCarthy's actually got a better record.
Yep, 3 more playoff wins. Yeah. 1 more division title.
Well, and if you look at it, I mean, Big Ben has been gone for a while, and yet since he's been gone, he's not been able to identify a quarterback and draft and develop. So is that something that you want to risk?
Well, and then this year he's got a good quarterback in Russell Wilson with Justin as a backup, and they were still one and done in the playoffs, and then they're on a 5-game losing streak. So yeah, I mean, Tomlin can. I mean, but there are a lot of Bears fans. If you say, well, what would you do if we could have the opportunity to get Mike Tomlin, and almost to a fault, they're like, oh, go get him. It's
Yeah, like
almost
I
to a
think
fault.
like coaches like Tomlin and Flores, they need quarterbacks that's like already like established, like Burrow, and they're just coming in to really take over the defense and on that, and hire offensive coordinator and kind of give them all the offensive responsibilities. I think they're better with those type of teams, but with your team, because your quarterback is so young, I don't know why you guys would trust him to be the coach and develop him, because I mean, look at the coordinators that he has brought in to help their team. Matt Canada fired, Arthur Smith fired, and who was before Matt Canada? I can't remember, but that was when he had Big Ben and they went to the Super Bowl and all that.
Right.
But since then, he hasn't had any success bringing in an offensive coordinator. So what makes you think he's going to be able to hire the right coordinator?
Arthur went on to be a head coach, but yeah, I get what you're saying. And Tomlin's a dead issue for us, I think. I don't think there's any shot of Tomlin coming to the Bears. CJ brings up a good point here. The Bears as an organization lack patience. Coaches get maybe 2 years to develop their team, and that's true. I think we do lack patience, but part of that, I think, CJ, is because of the fan base and the media in Chicago, and kind of akin to New York. They expect to win right now.
Well, like, and I think part of that too is like you guys didn't see any improvements. You went 7-10, 7-10. So like it didn't get better each year. So then it didn't give you guys hope. Whereas if you guys had a bad season of 3 wins, and then the next year you progressed, and the next year you progressed to more wins, then it would give your fan base hope. But because you guys didn't, then it's kind of like, well, they're not going to have patience when they don't see any kind of change.
Yeah, I think that was.
We have 14 wins in the last 3 years.
Hold on, I got to throw this up really quick, just because we read from the Book of Dorn last night.
Same old Lions.
I think the thing with that, Sarah, to a point though, like we had the 3-win season, then we won 7, and I think part of the reasons why Flus didn't get fired is because of that progression. And it said, okay, well now we've got all these weapons, they should progress, and then they didn't. Which, as we all was documented this year, wrong OC choice, head coach making some bad decisions, maybe not saying the right things at press conferences. That didn't help him either. And now we're looking for the coach that fans are like, well, we want the coach who's going to win now because of the roster. And there's some legitimacy to that because the roster is good. I mean, if you look at when you said about Kingsbury, made great sense, because if you look I know Bear Down Mike's not a big fan of PFF, but if you look at the PFF grades of their offensive line and you look at the PFF grades of our offensive line, the difference is nominal. There's a difference in the positive for the Commanders' O-line, but it's not like it's a massive jump. Like these guys aren't grading in the high 80s, right? They're grading in the high 70s, low 80s. We're in like the low to mid 70s is where the guys are grading overall. So a similar talent pool at offensive line is what that tells you between Chicago and Washington. Yet Washington got so much more out of their O-line than Chicago did.
Well, and I think what really helped Jaden was Cliff giving him plays where it's like he gets rid of the ball quick, so he's not holding on to the ball like Caleb. Because like with Sam, like the longer you hold the ball, the more likely you're gonna get sacked. Yeah. And so Cliff provides answers for Daniels, because like if you look at the game yesterday when they were trying to blitz Daniels, and every time they would try, he got the ball out quick that they couldn't get to him. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, and Woody, we saw that with Caleb, right? Like he held the ball, but then there were times where he was the top fastest or second fastest in the league of delivering the ball, but he did hold the ball trying to look for something downfield a lot this year.
And I
Yeah, I
think
want
the
to.
issue with that too is because it was like, I think Eberflus instilled in him that do not, whatever you do not do not create a turnover, or take care of the ball. So it like shied him away from pulling the trigger on a lot of plays. That's why he had so few interceptions, because he would not throw the ball. And a lot of offensive coaches, they're like, throw the ball. If you get intercepted, oh wow, and I felt like that part of it was taken away from Caleb, and so he was very gun shy.
What do you think, Woody?
Yeah, he needs to throw more down the field. I was hoping that he would try to, hit DJ Moore. I think the longest pass was probably against Detroit on Thanksgiving when they tied the game up with the DJ Moore pass. But yeah, he did show signs of, holding the ball too long, not throwing the ball away when he took a sack. But yeah, there was some light too that when he, fired the ball right away, then he would get success. But
yeah, but it wasn't consistent, and so like it would be like a week or two, and it would revert back, so like it wasn't consistent. So I'm sure that makes it hard for a young player who's just getting his feet into the league too, and trying to figure everything else out. And
yeah,
so
I think that kind of goes to CJ's comment here, right? That hey, that's Caleb. Like he just took too long to make the decision. That instinct of when to get rid of the ball wasn't there yet this season. We saw flashes of it. Bear down, Mike. I mean, when it comes to Caleb, we've seen the flashes. I think Sarah makes a good point that Flus kind of preached ball security, which is not a bad thing to preach to a young quarterback. But when it comes to our next head coach, like, what difference are you looking for in the next head coach in terms of Caleb? Like, what are you looking for that next head coach to do to make Caleb a better player?
The next head coach needs to be able to let Caleb play his game, but with an extent, right? Caleb is doing the same,
but better.
Thomas Brown, but yeah, Caleb's still doing the same shit he did at USC. He's looking for the home run ball. He doesn't go through the checkdowns. We see that with Komet. Komet is a great, second, third down guy to throw to.
Mm-hmm.
Komet never got used. Last time he got used was against Indy. That was his biggest game.
If you look at it, like, look how often Jaden Daniels uses Zach Ertz. A tight end is
the checkdowns. He doesn't take the checkdown. And he was terrible with the deep ball, right? Maybe that's not his game. In college, it was. Here in the NFL, it's not his game. He's very inaccurate.
Plus, Washington does better. Like I saw it yesterday on the Scary Terry screen pass. Okay, when Chicago did their screen pass, they had one guy out there with two defenders. Well, who's going to win? The two defenders. Yesterday, they had Washington had three guys out there, and they had the block. And Scary Terry ran it for 59 yards.
So the thing about that play, the reason that play worked for them, if you looked at that, it was 3-2, right? What he just said. When the Bears run it, they've run the three receiver set for that screen pass, but it still ends up being 4-3 in favor of the defense. They never get that set.
Yep.
Because when the screen pass happened, Woody, in that game, I thought of you last time. Like, oh, Woody's probably throwing a fit right now.
Yeah.
Because we do it 50 times a game and get nothing. And we always say, he's always going, why are we doing this? Well, this play right now is why we do it, because the one time it works. And the thing with the Bears, though, whenever we do it, Woody, I think if we were to look at the tape, how often do the Bears get that kind of matchup on the screen? It's usually inverted the other way.
Yes.
Yep.
Well, when you do it 50 times a game, you're third and long, and like everybody knows on the defensive side, they're going to go for a screen.
And then when DJ Moore goes in motion, all of the defensive teams are going to be like, oh, that's easy play. It's going to him on the screen. They always do that. They did that on fourth down, too, and they get fucked up all the time.
The reason I would like Ben Johnson, like where Ben Johnson intrigues me, is offensively. Cole Kmet is going to be utilized more. They utilize Laporta, and Laporta, oh my God, can we just all agree that Laporta catch in the end zone was probably one of the best catches of the year?
Oh, the left-handed, one-handed
catch.
Left-handed.
That one-handed snag is Goff is going down, being tackled. He just kind of throws a prayer, and Laporta just kind of sticks the left arm out there, hoping that, and he's, that was beautiful. Got to give some credit where credit is due. Laporta made it, and but you know what? Kmet can make those same catches. So that's one of the things offensively. You know, everyone's focused on Caleb. You know, I want more play design where Kmet gets utilized more, where there's better distribution to guys like Kmet or Gerald Everett, who's a quarterback's best friend, right? Supposedly. Mm-hmm. Like, I want to see more of that. And I want to see him develop Caleb's long ball, like Mike said, because it was lacking last year. And I don't know if that's due to Caleb or due to, because they did it so infrequently. It's kind of like the rust that's coming off the arm as he's letting it go. I like to see that in the next head coach. Now, I have to note, we are interviewing today Eddie George, and that's significant, not because it's Eddie George, but because by interviewing Eddie George, or tomorrow we're interviewing him, if it's an in-person interview, it does, believe it or not, we've interviewed 16 people, and we still have not met the Rooney Rule. So by interviewing Eddie George, the Bears will have fulfilled their obligation to the Rooney Rule, which I think is the stupidest rule in the NFL right now. But they will have completed. So it makes me wonder if the Eddie George interview is not just a Rooney Rule interview.
Well, explain the Rooney Rule so people know that.
Well, it's so disingenuous, because you're bringing this person in knowing that you're not even going to give them a chance. So it's dumb as hell.
This is the Rooney Rule is the reason why Brian Flores has a case against the NFL right now. The Rooney Rule states that you have to hire or you have to interview at least 2 minority coaches before you make a hire.
Yep. So he did Flores, and now Eddie George is number 2.
What did they do, Freeman at Notre Dame?
No, Freeman at Notre Dame said he doesn't even care about the NFL. Like he's not doing any interviews.
No.
Okay.
We requested, other teams requested. He's like, yeah, I'm not leaving. So good on him. In a sense, we'll see if he can do it. What he can do, and maybe eventually he'll get a gig. But they have to be the in-person type. The only in-person type we've done for the Rooney Rule is Thomas, because he's in the building already. So even though we interviewed Rivera, even though we interviewed AG, those didn't count towards the Rooney Rule because they were not in-person interviews. So if we interview Eddie George in person, the Rooney Rule will have been satisfied, and the Bears can then move forward with Rivera didn't count CJ. CJ said, "What about Ron Rivera?" He didn't count because it was a Zoom call. They have to be in person for the Rooney Rule. Hey, good morning, Chad. Hope you're having a good one there in New York and you're not snowed in.
Not yet.
So. Yeah, the Rooney Rule. So that's significant. Now, look at Eddie George, Hall of Famer, right? Great running back. He's been a college coach, did pretty well, but I agree with Sarah. It's a little bit disingenuous in a way, because
Chad, we can't interview Mike Tomlin.
Yeah, we can't. Yeah, Chad, we can't interview Mike Tomlin. It's kind of disingenuous because he's being brought in partially to be a Rooney Rule guy. But I mean, no, he does have some chops as a coach, though, so there might be a little legitimacy. And maybe if not a head coach, maybe he gets to be the OC. And if it's Ben Johnson, you're the OC in name only, but that's fine if you're him, because it's experience, right, that you want as a coach to progress. So that's going to be interesting with Eddie George coming in tomorrow. I mean, I wouldn't mind. Look, if Ben Johnson's a hire and he makes Eddie George his OC, I'm not upset with that. I don't think anyone's upset with having a Hall of Fame running back in the coaching room that can help coach the running backs and be the OC.
Are you just pairing these guys together, or do they have any relationship? Do they know each other?
Well, I don't know. That's a good question. That would have to be explored. I mean, right now, me personally, I'm pairing them together. I don't know. They may have a relationship. It's hard to tell in the NFL these days who has one and who doesn't. It could be one of those things where Poles goes, "Hey, Ben, I want to hire you. I strongly would recommend that you would look at this guy to be your OC have a conversation. I think you guys will jive, one of those kind of things. And that could be how that happens if they don't already have a relationship. I mean, whoever the head coach is, they're going to hire who they're going to hire. But I could also see him say, hey, look, the guy wasn't ready to be a head coach, but he's got some chops, and it would behoove you to at least consider him to bring him onto your staff. I could see that conversation happen.
So you guys don't buy the story that Ben Johnson's a done deal for Raiders?
No,
Sarah,
I don't
here's
believe
the
that.
thing.
No,
I've
there's
also
a link
seen
to
articles
everybody.
that Ben Johnson's he's a done deal for everyone, depending on what publication you read. Because in
Yeah.
Jacksonville, they think he's already the head coach. Some of these people down there. Some of the people down here in the NOLA area think it's either him or AG. Dallas has no clue because the whole Dion scape. So yeah, it's kind of weird. But we're gonna let that brew for a minute because we're gonna debut something real quick at the halfway part. The new coffee commercial, which I know Woody's been waiting for.
Ooh.
Yeah. So here we go, debuting the new Bear 6 Axle commercial. We'll be back in about a minute and 40.
Well, he lived over. I got it.
Yeah, you
Ooh.
gotta like that, huh? Yeah.
Roast my beans.
Not a big
Yeah.
coffee drinker, so I'm fine.
That's
Oh, geez, you should be shot. No. But yeah, that's the new commercial. He's still working on it. That's where it's at right now. It's looking good. I'm just jamming to the music, drinking my Bear 6 Actual. If you want some Bear 6 Actual, it's American Veterans of America Roastery, and Bear 6 Actual is a good blend. Woody's wife drinks it. I drink it. Mike drinks it. Not that Mike. The other Mike. Mike, the Bear fan, drinks it. Good coffee. In fact, I'm about to order another bag. There are a couple bags. Hey, Broski's back in the house as we come out of commercial break, and he makes it known he thinks Ben Johnson is a little twerpy nerd, and he's not head coach material. Hire McCarthy now.
I don't know if he's a nerd. You know who's a nerd is Mike McDaniels and the Dolphins. That's a nerd.
Dude, tell me Mike McDaniels this year did not look like he spent way too much time on South Beach doing lines at the Clevelander Hotel.
Broski. That's hilarious.
Oh, Jesus. What do you say about Jason?
yeah.
Oh, yeah, there we go. Broski with the Moski making the comments this morning. Yeah, I mean, look, see, that's what I'm saying, Sarah. You're gonna have look, you've got Broski wants McCarthy. Mike wants McCarthy. Woody wants. Who did you want, Woody? Joe?
I don't mind. I wouldn't mind having McCarthy, but I want to see Joe Brady.
Joe Brady. I'm kind of like Ben Johnson's kind of grown on me a little bit, but geez. Obviously Broski will not be happy if we hire Ben Johnson. But McCarthy to me is intriguing. Ron Rivera is intriguing. There's a couple coaches we've interviewed. We've interviewed 16 of them that are intriguing. There's so much depth to this coaching class of available candidates. I have not seen depth in the coaching class of available candidates in this in a long time.
My question is, why didn't we hear anything about Robert Saleh? I mean, even just not even interviewing him.
No, well, did you hear what the 49ers have offered?
No, I didn't hear him.
They were going to make him the highest paid defensive coordinator in the NFL.
They're just waiting on whether or not Jacksonville or New Orleans hires him as a head coach, which I don't think they will.
No. Yeah, Caleb's idol was A-Rod. Maybe he would respond to McCarthy in his development. It's a valid point, CJ. It's a valid point. Saleh, they offered him. They're backing up the Brinks truck in San Francisco. Remember, that's where he got his break as a coordinator. So they want him back as coordinator, which really, we should have done that with Vic Fangio back in the day. But yeah, that's what's up with Saleh. And Flus interviewed for the DC position.
In the end, Caleb is here we go.
Atlanta and did not get it.
Well, Chad, it's not going off to a good start.
It's 1 year, small data set. Yeah, we'll see how this thing goes out over the years. Look, I think there's going to be these guys obviously going to be tied together for years to come. Broski with the longer one here. I'm on record saying my prediction is Bears hire Joe Brady. Yeah, he has been saying it for a couple weeks. Not who he wants, but he's predicting. And the reason he's saying we're going to get Joe Brady, if I'm correct, Broski, is because he thinks we're going to miss out on everyone because we're dawdling too long. And McCarthy and Ben Johnson are going to get snatched up, and Joe Brady's just going to be the only guy left. That's kind of
Poles is doing his due diligence. When you hear a rumor, hear that they're trying to make trade offers for Mike Tomlin, they're turning over every stone.
And I know you said it's 1 year, but you got to think Jaden Daniel always has 2 playoff wins.
He does. But you know what Caleb has? He has a win in Lambeau.
Yeah.
Okay. That'll get us to the playoffs.
Give me the 2 playoff wins.
Get it. But no, look, the problem is, but it brings up a good point, though, is see, and there's something to that, I think, Broski, because of what he's done with that. Sarah said it before you came on, and I reinforce it because if you look at their O-line and our O-line, and if you look at the PFF grades, which are an indicator of the skill level of the player, the PFF grades between DC's line and the Bears line is not a massive leap. It's very small. We're talking 1 or 2 points per guy on the line. And yet they get much more out of their O-line with about similar talent level as the Bears. The Bears' problem isn't necessarily the talent level. We do have some depth issues, yes. It's not necessarily the talent of the guys on the O-line. It's how they're utilized. And Kingsbury shows you, I can take a line with guys that grade in the mid to high 70s, and look what I can do with them. We have the similar type of line, and our coaching staff says, well, look how many sacks we can give up. So there's some fire to what Broski is saying there, why Kingsbury could be a guy, and we requested an interview with Kingsbury, so he's on the radar. So there's a good argument about Cliff. He definitely outplayed Ben Johnson yesterday.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I don't think the Commanders are gonna go to the Super Bowl, so you should be able to interview him after next week.
Well, we can interview. We're interviewing him this week on video. Yeah, but we can't do an in-person until he's out of the playoffs. So if they lose an NFC Championship game, then we can interview him right away. If they somehow make it to the Super Bowl, then we have to wait till after to do the in-person, I believe. Yeah,
what I would really like to see is Matt Stafford go and win another Super Bowl
Oh my
with the
god.
Rams.
Oh, how would
staggered
Lions
the
fans be
Lions.
pissed?
Yeah, they would.
Even more pissed.
I need that fucking today. Definitely.
And if now, would he be beat? Who would he be beating? Mahomes or another quarterback in the AFC?
No, he didn't beat Mahomes. He beat Burrow.
No,
Oh,
no.
who do you want him to see beat?
No,
Oh,
yeah, obviously, yeah, he beat Burrow last time. Is he going to be beating Josh Allen? Is he going to be beating Lamar? Is he going to be beating?
I think Josh Allen deserves it. I mean, I know Lamar Jackson with all, MVP, blah, blah, blah. Josh Allen he's a tough son of a bitch, man. He deserves it. I hope Buffalo's in that Super Bowl.
They're not.
You're right,
Did you see
A-Dub.
the game, the Chiefs game yesterday? They're doing everything they can to send the Chiefs to the Super Bowl. It's already a done deal.
Yeah, the ref. Broski, we disagree. Okay, so Broski thinks I mean, yeah, I know you don't like. I know. I'm not saying they're the end all, but they're an indicator, right, Broski?
Indicator that we suck online.
No, I mean, look. If you look at the player grades, though, you look at the player grades for Washington. They're not dissimilar. They're very similar. Their coaching staff gets more out of their guys than ours. That's the way I'm looking at that, Broski. I don't know if we need 4 new starters like you do on the O-line.
And that's an indictment on the Bears because who
We'll
did they interview with Eberflus?
We'll have three. We'll have three different starters on that O-line next year. 2 or 3.
At which positions do you think?
Let's see. I'm still
right
up in the air with the right guard. I'm still up in the air with the center though, even though Shelton's top, like you said, PFF, whatever.
Right.
Right guard.
Definitely right guard. Yes, definitely.
I don't think you signed Tevin unless it's cheap.
Yeah. Well, I think we signed Tevin because here's the thing: like you still need
left
depth.
tackle.
So if you're going to replace,
if Will
Tevin,
Campbell's available in the draft, you go get Will Campbell for the left tackle.
Well, actually, Mike, we said this on Wednesday. Will Campbell actually dropped in the bat and down to Kelvin Banks is up there now. I like Kelvin Banks too. Either one of them would be good. Oh, absolutely, yeah.
For me, absolutely. I know. I like Pryor at right guard. He played really good at right guard the last couple games when he was charged to play it. But I want him more as a depth guy. I don't want him as my starter. So I think I agree with you guys at right guard. I think we re-signed Tevin because if nothing else, he's a phenomenal depth piece for the money he's gonna get. But you're gonna try to start him as much as possible, and we need to either draft a left guard to have behind him who can step in, and at least initially just be the guy who steps in whenever he's hurt, if not just outright take it over. And we are going to need a left tackle if he's not back from injury. So I that's how I could see like where Woody's saying 3 Shelton. I think we'll have a new center only if there's an upgrade to Shelton available. And the only upgrade that looks to be available in the free agent market is the kid out of Atlanta. And I don't know if Atlanta's going to let the guy get to the marketplace.
Mm-mm. I wouldn't if I was Atlanta.
Well, especially when they have a young older quarterback.
No, it depends on money. And the one thing we don't know, and for those who watch the Hard Knocks series, Hard Knocks is a nice eye opener sometimes. They have an amount of money they can spend per position group, right, within their cap. So I don't know where Atlanta is on that. If they are going to resign him based on where they are in the cap. But I think you resign that kid in Atlanta. You don't let him test free agency, or he ends up in Chicago.
But they're in trouble with the cap too because of Kirk.
Yeah.
Because if they, from what's reporting, they're gonna cut him, and if they cut him, they're taking a huge dead cap, and so I don't know if they're gonna be able to sign him.
They're a little bit screwed, screwed if they do, screwed if they don't type of situation. When it comes to the Bears, I see at least 3 new O linemen minimum on this roster. Whether they're starters or not, we'll see. And on a defensive side, at least at minimum, an edge rusher, whether it be from free agency or the draft.
Zadarius Smith.
A lot of these guys, I haven't seen these mock drafts. They haven't drafted a rookie in the first round at running back, or rookie, but a running back in the first round. I'm just like, I don't see
that's just fucking stupid.
That's dumb.
You pick I don't care. You don't trade. You stay where you are. You pick the best O-line that's available. O-lineman.
Yep.
That get it over with. Done. Stop with the running back from Boise State. Just sick of seeing it. I really am.
Yeah, doesn't
I rather see Kirk Cousins go back to Minnesota. I really would.
Yeah, that's not happening.
I mean, yeah, that makes no sense to me. That would be. Let's see. What would you think of the Bears hiring Kingsbury head coach? I'm not against it.
Man. Jesus Christ.
I'm not against
He wouldn't be my first choice.
No way.
If you miss out on Ben Johnson, Mike McCarthy, then he'll be like number 3.
I think you need to invest in a veteran backup quarterback too, though.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, I think Kingsbury is an interesting selection. But like I said, if you look at their roster and the skill level of their offensive line, you look at the skill level of the Bears' offensive line, and how much more he's gotten out of their offensive line in DC. And look at, we have a lot more weapons than they have in DC. We have a better running back room. We have a better wide receiving room. We have a better tight end room. And yet they outperformed us in every aspect. And that's because Kingsbury got more out of his guys than anyone we had as an OC in Chicago. Now, I would have liked to see the interim just be the interim OC, because I think he was getting more out of the offense when he took over the offense, not as much when he was a head coach. But I think Kingsbury is an interesting hire if they were to hire, because I think he'd get a lot more out of this offense. And he learned, obviously, from his time. Look, he wasn't terrible in Arizona as much as Keebler Elf was terrible in Arizona. So he's got a much better quarterback, I think, in Caleb Williams than Kyler Murray.
And he worked with him before.
Right. So
I don't know. So I still believe some coordinators should stay coordinators, but you have to start somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing. Like, I know, CJ brings up, we should bring in a vet. Like, get rid of Bagent in a sense, right? Get a good veteran backup quarterback in there who can help Caleb, because a second-year guy helping a one-year guy isn't really a ton of help. And
it's kind of like the blind leading the blind.
Yeah, I mean, and like, I know Flus was like gushing over how well Bagent got the game, and Bagent may be a student of the game. At this point, now you're talking about a third-year quarterback and a second-year quarterback. And the thing is, that's when they brought in, what's his name, who we cut, who had 6 years in the league. And they cut him because they felt Bagent was better at at helping Caleb than. So I don't know.
Rippin?
Rippin, yeah. And I liked Rippin, but.
You did good in the preseason.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Kingsbury, I don't. Put this way, let me put this way, because I mean, Broski's like, look, he's open to Kingsbury. Woody, would you be open to Kingsbury coaching in Chicago? Like, if we hired Kingsbury, would you be upset?
Head coach?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd be upset.
What about you, Mike?
I wouldn't be as upset. He's not, like I said, he's number 3 on my list.
Sarah, what would you think?
If I was a Bears fan, I wouldn't. Just because I think his outing, cause it felt like he didn't really have control of his locker room when he was in Arizona, and so I think maybe he needs to have a couple more years, coordinating
and getting more control of the locker room, getting those skills down.
Yeah.
See, like, Packer fans will tell you McCarthy won't have control. Like, he will lose control after a year or two, that he will fade off. That's the rub that the Packer fans say about him, because, and I don't know, maybe it's part of that. Packer fans just don't want to have to face him. I don't know what, he was a good coach for them. They say, well, after a couple of years, McCarthy's going to kind of slough off and that. Like, I didn't see McCarthy slough off this year, to be honest with you. And I saw that Dallas team fighting like hell to win games for him at the end of the year when it meant absolutely nothing.
Yeah. Yeah. I saw Trey Lance play pretty good one game.
Yeah.
Oh, did you see them rumors? Hey, Bears, trade for Trey Lance. Get the fuck out of here.
Well, that's like every Packers fan right now thinks they're going to get T. Higgins.
Yeah. Packers
Um,
do need a veteran fucking wide receiver, though.
Yeah, but they never
They need a true number
invested in
one.
that position.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see how the Bears. Now, I don't know if they're going to wrap up round one of the interviews after Eddie George. I would assume they've interviewed enough people to wrap up round one and start going towards their second round, which Broski is seeding right now. If I could see, if you want to see a cartoon adaptation of Broski right now, imagine a cartoon where the red, his face is getting red, and then the top of his head's going to blow off with a mushroom cloud. That's where Broski is with this process right now. And I get it. He said it many times in the morning show, commented like, dude, why aren't we doing something? I mean, if we're going at, if Kingsbury is definitely, let's say if he's in the top 2 or 3 of consideration, I could see why the Bears are waiting now. Like you have Ben Johnson and McCarthy, and let's say you have Kingsbury, you can't really do anything until Kingsbury's done, which will just piss Broski off more. And some Bears fans like him. I get it. But this is where we're at right now. I mean,
did you tell Broski that we're waiting to hire a coach the day before free agency?
Yeah,
well,
right.
like during our hiring cycle, we did not interview KOC until after the Super Bowl, and KOC was one of the last coaches hired, and that worked out for us.
Well, you guys were able to do the video conference interview, but not the in person. That one can't happen until they're done. And that's the problem. And it didn't work out for you guys with KOC. So if Kingsbury's the guy, and let's say they get to the Super Bowl, then we have to wait till after the Super Bowl to do our in-person with Kingsbury. We can do our in-person with Johnson this week now because they're done.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes waiting is best because, like, the Vikings really liked Nathaniel Hackett. And I'm just so thankful that the freaking Broncos saved us from ourselves.
So Broski has a comment here. He says, hey, there's a difference between being thorough and casting such a wide net. It's obvious they have no plan. Do you guys agree with that? Do you think the Bears have no plan?
It makes you kind of think that.
Yeah, for the last couple. Yeah, you got to think their track record. Yeah. Who thinks we have a plan after that track record?
Patriots was the higher variable from weeks. Yeah, but it doesn't guarantee that's the right guy.
And then Thomas Brown.
They hired him out of familiarity,
And Thomas Brown interviewed, and looks like the Patriots are really interested in him as an OC.
Well, it makes it seem like you guys have really no idea what kind of coach you want, because it's like the type of coaches you guys are bringing are all over the place.
I want to groom. I want a coach to groom Caleb Williams.
They've definitely cast the wide net. They're definitely gathering a lot of info. I think they have an idea of what they want, but they want to do their due diligence and say, okay, look, we want an offensive-minded coach, but we need to interview some defensive-minded coaches as well, because, maybe we bring in a defensive-minded coach and they really get it as far as we're concerned, as far as developing Caleb. And that could, so, I mean, I see them just as due diligence. I think they have a plan. I think they know what they want, but they want to make sure that they don't leave any stone unturned, because we know how it is in Chicago. If we real quick just go and sign someone, oh, well, you should have looked at this guy. You should have looked at that guy. You should have, I mean, there's not going to be any of that. They'll have looked at all the guys, and they'll be able to say, we didn't hire this guy because of this. We didn't hire this guy because of that. This guy was really good this, but he didn't have what we were looking for in terms of Caleb. Chad doesn't think we have a plan.
Did you guys see his interview with St. Brown?
Oh, Caleb, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like he wants an offensive coach, because he was talking about how he wants an offensive coach.
He wants to grow with that coach.
Hey, Sarah, did you see my post on X, though, I posted with Caleb and St. Brown show? They're going back and forth with, you don't want that smoke? Yeah, I do. He's like, well, we got you this year. Yeah, you got us, but you're going to be there for a while, right? And St. Brown's like, huh? He's like, didn't you just get an extension? He's like, oh, yeah, but you're going to be there a while, too. And Caleb's like, I know. Here's Broski's top candidates. Gruden, who hasn't interviewed with anyone. McCarthy, Peterson, Carroll, and running out the top 5 is now Kingsbury's been added to Broski's list. So that's a new addition for Broski. Interesting thing about Gruden, he's posting on X all about Chicago. Yesterday he posted how he was at Wrigley Field having a beer at Wrigley for the first time since he was a kid.
Does you know it's not baseball season?
Yeah, it doesn't matter. You can still go to Wrigley and get a beer.
Just want to know. I just wanted to know.
You know, Wrigley's a beer garden, man.
Different sport. Sorry.
You know, look, I've been very vocal about wanting Gruden since this started.
Yeah, but he has a lawsuit as well.
He does, but I'm still surprised that there's not more. Dude is all over Chicago. Yeah, I get it. Barstool Sports is there, but he's posting how he drank Malort for the first time. You know, all the different places in Chicago he's going. It's like I would be very surprised if the Bears didn't at least make a phone call and say, hey, are you interested in coaching again this year?
You would think I want him. You would think I want Gruden because I met him before, but he was a dick. But that might be a good thing because it's like me.
Yeah, these players all have podcasts now, and they all go on each other's podcasts. I get it.
Does that irritate you guys? It irritates me because I'm like, I don't want my players to be podcasting,
Yeah, they all do it.
I'm just glad that we don't have any of those on our team because, like, I don't know, it's just kind of like, well, don't you think you should be practicing instead of doing a podcast because you're in the divisional round? That's how I think, though.
Yeah, he does this podcast all season, though.
Yeah.
Hey, Huddle Sports says, please follow us on X. You can get us at Ken the Bear Fan, as you see behind me, or at Huddle Sports 815 is where you can find us on X, or what's Rob's handle? But Rob's on there from the Viking page. I forgot his handle right now, but he does throws the shows on too. Yeah. 4 of them are Super Bowl winners. But back to Sarah's point, though, with being irked about St. Brown and the podcast and everything, all these players do it. During the season, they don't do it as much, but the St. Browns do it weekly. They do it weekly. But I thought Caleb on there was – I know Broski doesn't like that he's going on St. Brown's podcast, but, dude, these guys – it's not the old NFL, man. These guys are all buddies. They're all friends now.
Well, and they're from USC together.
Yeah. Well, they didn't play together, but they did go to
both
USC
alum.
together.
So I mean, I thought though Caleb's interchange was like, I love that. He's like, yeah, but you're going to be there for a while. I know, just kind of like that. I mean, that Caleb just owned it. That was great.
He knows what he's worth.
Yeah. If you haven't figured it out yet, folks, Broski does not want Ben Johnson. I forgot to get to this one. Chad asked, is Keenan Allen staying? And that is a very good question.
I would. $16 million a year. Sign him.
Ooh, that's a lot.
2 years, 16. Yeah, I can see it. If he said he wants to run it back, but
he said he either wants to stay in. He says he wants to stay in Chicago or go to one of the LA teams.
Yeah, the way he's going to end up going back with Justin Herbert.
I would see what's available out there. If you can get a similar kind of production from a younger guy who's been in the league maybe 4 years, 5 years,
not many.
But
Stephon Diggs is a free agent.
I'd rather have T.
One
Higgins.
wide receiver free agent, Mike, that fits that bill.
I'd rather have T. Higgins.
Yeah, but is T. Higgins going to come to play third fiddle in Chicago?
No, he'd be our number one.
And he's going to ask for way more money than $16 million.
Oh yeah.
Oh, well, price wise, no.
Money wise, they're not going to find anything better than Keenan, I don't think.
No, not money wise.
And I'm good with Keenan coming back, Chad, to be honest with you. I think it'd be a smart play for him. I think it'd be good for the team. I think it's just good for everyone all the way around.
When is your stadium getting built, man?
Oh, you want to bring that up? Oh, geez.
We
It's
gotta
not
figure
going
out
to be
a
in
place
our.
where to build it first.
It's not going to be
Right.
Arlington
He's
Heights.
going to coach and some players before we worry about the.
It's going to be right next door.
So yeah, the whole Arlington versus downtown debate still rages on. Now look, there's one big thing that I think people forget about. They say, well, the Bears are committed to staying at the lakefront. Okay. They own the land in Arlington. Okay. Arlington just passed the measure that would give them the tax breaks they want to build in Arlington. Okay. J.B. Pritzker, the wonderful governor of the state of Illinois, is on record saying the Bears will never see 1 red cent of taxpayer dollars to build a stadium downtown. So
yeah, that's what that's
downtown
what
it is.
said too, and they funded it.
Oh no, they want to keep all the money to defend illegal aliens from ICE. That's literally what they're doing with the money in Illinois. That's why they want to use it for programs like that, and they don't want to spend any money on a stadium for Chicago because they think it's wasted money at the state level. Like, okay, fine. Look, I've always been a proponent of Arlington because the Bears own the property. They would own the stadium. They get to generate and keep the revenue. The city gets basically tax dollars off of certain things, maybe some hotel stays, some food sales. The city doesn't. The Bears get everything. The city of Arlington Heights would make a ton of money, right? But more importantly, the Bears are no longer renting anything. They own all. So, and if the city of Arlington Heights is willing to give them their tax breaks, which I just said they are, just break ground in Arlington Heights already, man, and get this going. Well, you can't break ground right now.
I'm answer your question real quick. I'm gonna answer it. I'm gonna say Josh Sweat.
Which one? Oh,
this one? Question.
Yeah, I've been looking at Josh Sweat too if he's gonna be available. Then
Is he the guy from Philly?
Yes. Unfortunately.
Okay.
Oh, and thank you, Mike. Look, we've been having such a good conversation. We are over time. See, this is what happens when you get a good football conversation. We're out of time for the day, guys. Make sure you come back Wednesday night at 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. on the East, and catch Monday through Friday, every Monday through Friday at 10 a.m. Central, 11 on the East for Ken and Ken in the morning. Great conversation, guys. We'll see you all next time. Enjoy the games today, and bear down.
This is a Huddle Sports Network broadcast. You can find us on Roku TV, Amazon Fire Stick TV, Facebook, and YouTube. Get all your sports news here first. The daily podcasts are Ken and Ken in the Morning, Lions Talk with Smoking Jeremy B, Wrestling Roundup, The Big Football Show, and more, Shield TV, Lions Villain Report, and Red Zone Rant. The afternoon podcasts are Valhalla, Grosef Sports, WCFL Dolphins Talk, The Cheap Seats, The Bodkin Show, Spirit of Detroit Podcast, and Maniacs. The nightly podcasts are Hallas Hall Report, Frozen Tundra Network, Skull Gang 365, The Huddle Sports Network Open Mic, First and 10 with Foz, Main Event Football Show, Prime Sports World, The Man Cave, Prim and Proper Sports. Spitballing Podcast, Lions Fan Cave Chat, Puckett, 313 Den Podcast, The Guys Huddle, Shots from the Sideline, Let's Talk Sports, The Michigan Truth Sports Podcast, Off the Rails, NFC Northeast, Power Hours, and Detroit Lions News. Make sure you follow, like, share, subscribe, and comment. Hope you like all the shows.